This is Trader Fox, and let's go for what could be seen as the first of many weekend pre-market outlooks. So today is Sunday, 19th of July, and we're 1 hour 15 minutes away from the New York Globex Open. So in terms of bias, which is the main thing I'm looking for, you can use TradingView and you can use the session volume profiles and have two created for the overnight session and one for the New York session. So the overnight session, let's just use these timings because this is what it's supposed to be, which is 6 p.m. up until 9:30 a.m. And then obviously for New York session, technically it should be 4 p.m., but 5 p.m. is just as bloody good. So essentially, we've been hitting this resistance and we were holding support levels for the previous days. And then coming into Thursday and Friday, we finally started breaking down lower and coming up until a daily support and also the value area low on the composite profile. And so to look at the composite profile, I'm using our favorite platform for order flow, which is Deep Charts. So this is what the daily profile looks like. And this is just the cash sessions, which is basically the most important sessions that we want to track, obviously, because big money, big players, they're all trading mainly in New York session. So to filter out the noise, we don't have the overnight profile in this one. And then as you can see on the right is the 3-month composite. So when it came into this previous week, we tapped back into this support, which again, you can just extend all the way to the left. And you can see we were tapping into this, bouncing into this, and then obviously bouncing off the daily support levels above. So when it comes to determining the bias for the week or for the day, I'm typically just looking at, the value area and the point of control shifting lower or higher than the previous one. Now, since this was the support that was holding up price, we have now finally broken through that, and we're starting to get into the value area low of the overall profile. And the initial support, which was from the 9th of June, where we had this big rally up, and again, we were finding resistance in these levels. So long term, until we were creating value on the New York session closing above this, the longs are obviously not being confirmed, because then multiple times we bounced off it, we rejected hard, and then we could not break even more. So every time that we had a day's confirmation from the previous day, it was more often to look for short. And one of my favorite things to look for is obviously gaps to fill. So this really helps with the stronger bias of the day. Since we're bouncing off a major resistance zone, we have reasons to go down, and plus the value is confirming it. So even if you didn't trade on this day or this day, you can see coming into the 17th of June that the bias overall would be short to fill this gap. And then you can just look at the value area highs and use these as your logical take profit points, since price can bounce off them, which is exactly what happened coming into the following days. And then we start to compress even more and rejecting and then rejecting and going further down until we create support. So obviously using daily profile and comparing the overnight sessions are not always going to be 100% correct, because obviously nothing in trading is 100%. But for the higher probability, we're just following where the money's going. So if fair value is being created from the New York session, then obviously us as retail traders should just follow where the big money and the volume is going. And then, to see if price is going up or down, you can obviously take one day off, trade a different asset, or just take the gamble that we're going to have some kind of support level to bounce back off from. And as you can see, the range started getting more and more compressed. So this became our new rejection zone. We started to create value further up. So obviously looking into the New York session on this day, you would just be waiting for value to be created from the overnight session, so that when it comes to your New York session trading, you can mark out these value area highs or the point of control and use those as your levels to take longs from. And then we literally rejected perfectly off the nearest point of control. Plus we also filled this gap as well. So plenty of reasons to take trades in both directions, but overall on a macro scale, like, we're still bearish until proven otherwise. And you can see, even though price went higher, it failed to make value higher again. And then we came back into the range, and then we've just been rejecting off this level. Now, this was, again, the most important support zone for me, since this is what pushed price up a bazillion points. So literally 934 points, just based on the cash profiles. So the fact that we have so far not created cash session value underneath, and combined with the commitment of traders report, which is slightly more on the long side. So this is the commitment of traders report for NASDAQ, and you can see 540 contracts were removed from the short side and 118 more were added. So when it comes to the Globex open tonight, we can potentially see a gap up if price is going to follow. But bear in mind, the report isn't a timing tool. It's just to give you an idea of big institutes, which is the non-commercial, removing some of their short positions. So we could see a correction. And then if we look at the S&P, which is the main driver for the US equities, it's kind of fairly neutral. Like nearly 10k shorts were added, and just over 10k longs were added. So we're in this weird balance zone. So again, commitment traders is not a timing tool, but it is a way to get into position with the rest of the big players. And if you don't trade the overnight session like I don't, all I would need to see is value being created back in this range, ready for the New York Open to start making value to bounce off this area and then potentially make its way back up to point of control. But again, if the fair value from the overnight session is around here, then we can expect the shorts to continue. So I let the confirmation, which again is not always 100% guaranteed, I let the confirmation of the overnight profile give me a better statistical edge to take it in that direction. And then paired with the IB model, or the IVB model if you're using deep charts, then those are two confluences that you can use to take longs or shorts, depending on obviously which way value has been created before the new New York session on Monday. So basically that's why I have these profiles split. And again, this was the support level that we were looking at, and we can see that value has closed higher than the overnight session. So this could be a sign to keep looking for longs, again, based on what the support level is showing here. So all we have to do is just wait to see which side wins the battle.